it now works. So key is off, no trunk. Key on, trunk. I don't know what the setting is for having this work all the time, but honestly I just want it to work with the key on anyway, so for me it's fixed. So I spent a whole lot of time, wasted time, trying to figure out what was going on here. You know, way too much time on Forscan and so forth. But finally what I did is I took this apart and I checked, and you see there's a black wire, that's ground. There's a purple wire, that's the light, and the brown wire is the trunk pop. And I speculated that the black and the brown had to touch to pop the trunk. So sure enough, when I touched the wires together, I basically just physically connected them. With no power, nothing happened. As soon as I turned the key on, the trunk popped. So I knew then, at that point, the wires had not been cut. So then I started speculating, because I don't know if you can see inside of there, but there are 6 pins inside this switch, and there are also 6 points on here. But when you take this red piece off, which you just basically stick a pick under there and it will slide out, there's only 3 wires. So my first thought was maybe they just moved a wire somewhere to disable the trunk pop. So I got in here, continuity testing, basically pressing the button and seeing what wires were connected, and no matter what I did, none of the wires connected. So then I was like, what happened? So I took the switch apart, and basically what that entailed was sticking a very small flat blade screwdriver up from this side in between here. There's 4 points. I'm sure they make a tool to do this, but like I said, I just did it with a flat blade. Basically slid in there and kind of pull on this outer part here, and it sort of pops up from 4, and once all 4 pop up, then you can just slide it out. And I'll show you what that looks like. So what I did is just kind of fish that in there and kind of start pulling on this tip. And you got to keep pressure on it or it will snap back in. So there we go. So I ding this up a little bit now, I don't care. So this part is just the button, obviously, that. But inside of here, you see there's that rubber thing. It's kind of like a key fob, and number one, you can clean those contacts if they're dirty. Mine were perfectly clean. I just, like a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol or something similar to that will clean that off. But this is what I'm talking about. It's like a key fob. So you get the black contacts, and then you've got clear rubber side. Well, I think what they had done was flipped it around and put it in that way so that the contacts would not touch the electrodes there. So I just flipped it back over and put it back in. And it only goes one way because you want it so the light will still shine through. But by putting it in that way and then reconnecting this, and again, there's only one way this will go, so it's the deeper side goes on the side with the light. Now it works. I hope that saves you some time. I know I spent a lot of time trying to figure that out, and it was something that simple. That's what gets frustrating with these police cars sometimes, is the upfitting and downfitting process is not consistent. Sometimes they take shortcuts, cutting wires and doing things like this instead of going through the so-called approved methods like using Forscan to turn this off.